of voice. Let me introduce myself. I'm Krishna Kumar Sinha, and I am associated with Finovista as an advisor for the last more than 2 years now. And I have background in mechanical engineering with master's degree in production engineering from IIT Delhi. I have already I completed my 35 years of service in the Government of India as an industrial advisor in Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And then it is this clean cooking or electric cooking is my new love, which I have really enjoyed. Uh, as regards this session, this is going to be, or we have started just now, is a ninth session of the phase 3 of the talk series. And altogether, this was launched, as I said, in 2022, and this one is the 33rd session, and quite a successful series it has been in raising awareness about the needs and about the benefits which comes out of the e-cooking solution. And we are very fortunate to have a global audience for this session and also for the, in general, the entire talk series. Today's topic, as you know, is the supply chain platforms for e-cooking solution. Obviously, the focus of the session would be to understand the current status of the supply chain at the global and at the India level, and also the additional measures which would be needed or are needed for ensuring e-cooking solutions accessibility, affordability, and the sustainability. All three are important here. Coming back to the need for e-cooking solution, I mean, we all agree that there is a clear need in the country, in India, I mean, to shift household from polluting cooking fuels to cleaner energy sources. And with India's net zero ambition, which is fixed in 2070, and gradually by 2030, we will have around, we, I mean, we have a kind of target for 25% households switching to electric cooking. So with that in view, and we are also very sure now that the LPG, which is a relatively cleaner but not totally clean solution for cooking purpose, cannot be the ultimate clean cooking option for the country because of other challenges, not just the cleaner part of it, but because we have to depend quite a bit or to a large extent on imported LPG for this and draining our foreign exchange. It is also subject to geopolitical situation. Its vulnerability has to be seen. And that is why, I mean, now, I mean, in the government, in the private sector, various people are now fairly convinced that the e-cooking solution gives a better option to us. Now, there are challenges, no doubt. The high upfront cost of the devices, and this is partially because we have very limited local manufacturing capacity for e-cooking devices, and we are dependent on some imported parts, some critical parts which are imported for assembly here. Then the inadequate power supply, quality power supply is another issue which is being, of course, addressed by the government, but we are still to reach that maturity of stage of maturity. And last but not the least is the after sales spares for making adoption more easier, for making it sustainable. And that is not there at the moment. So these all challenges make a difficult option at the moment, but we are all are working and certainly. So I mean, if we look at the entire supply chain, the challenges you can see wherever exist, which I have just mentioned. But as far as supply chain, if we look at it in its traditional shape, things have not been the same now. It has changed a lot. Tremendous change has undergone in supply chain of any manufacturing or supply activity. I mean, it has to change because the customer expectations are changing with time. And like any other emerging sector, we need to make progress in developing an effective supply chain for e-cooking solution, which may include setting up vendors for OEM manufacturer for supply of parts, retailer across the nation, innovative low cost, delivery system, and local capacity building for after sales service. And as I said, the modern supply chain has is quite different than the traditional supply chain in it the setup itself. In the traditional setup, the output of one value chain, one unit of the value chain, is the input for the another. But now it is much more complex in the sense that it has to be more flexible, more efficient, and also need to be customized. The fast deliveries that meet individual specific need is another requirement. And what we need to use is the digital technology, which is being used in various supply chain, not just in e-cooking solutions. So that adds to the resilience, visibility, sustainability, and also flexibility in the supply chain. So the digitization of the supply chain has enabled companies to address these new emerging requirements, and of course, the addressing the challenges as well. But fortunately, we are lucky to have a very expert panel here who have very kindly agreed to participate and share their experiences, thoughts, and ideas to take the e-cooking forward. And before I finish this, I would like to introduce Dr. Nick Russell. Dr. Russell from Loughborough University. He is the International Liaison Manager for Modern Energy Cooking Services Program, and he will be moderating the panel discussion with the with our experts for the benefits of the new audience, because Dr. Nick is a well-known face now in e-cooking field. Let me tell you that he holds a Bachelor of Arts followed by a Master in Science and a PhD degree in Psychology from the universities of Cambridge, Loughborough, and Sheffield. And his focus of research has been on psychology and user-centered system design. And he has already something like 20-year plus experience in working in the UK government and in the Department of Business, Innovation and Skills. So as far as India is concerned, he is the key man, the coordinating person from UK, and has been very helpful in taking the entire project forward. So he will be coordinating as far as the panel discussion is concerned. However, before that, we have another speaker. She is Dr. Vernica Brendan Adminum, Chief Executive Officer of Tovero Energy Limited. Now, Ms. Veronica is having a PhD in economics from Nile University of Nigeria. She is currently CEO of Tovero Energy Limited, and her interest is in electric cooking research, energy efficiency, and energy management. She was, in fact, part of the team that worked to produce that Nigeria e-cookbook, currently published on the Modern Energy Cooking Services website. It is available there. So uh, can we have Dr. Veronica on the screen? I mean, has she joined?
I don't think so, sir. I think she's caught up somewhere
Okay,
else. But
so
yeah,
what
she's
we
running late. Maybe. Yeah.
okay, since we have to take it forward, as soon as she's back, she's there, we can have. So I would like to uh, invite
I
Dr.
am here
Nick.
now.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah.
Welcome to the talk series. Welcome. So great to have you, Dr. Veronica.
Thank you. Thank you
And
so
I have
much.
already given a very brief introduction of yours to the audience, the talk series audience here. And I invite you to deliver. Or before that, there was a small presentation which I would like to show to everybody. Satyam, can you share that presentation about
Yeah.
the mix services in India? The very
Yes.
3-4 slides only. it is coming now. Is it visible to others? Hopefully. So
Yes,
this you
yes.
can see, yeah, you can see it on the screen, that supply chain platform, which I just discussed very briefly, and about for e-cooking solution, which we have mentioned. And today it is the 33rd session of the talk series, the third series and the ninth sessions. And what the second slide shows is that see, there is a need for clean cooking because a lot of people are dependent still on unclean fuels, affecting their health, and also wasting their time in collecting a fuel also. And the MEX has very good research work and done the survey, which points to the electric cooking being the one of the perhaps the most viable solution in the world, in India and other country, as well as the cooking fuel. So that is what you see on this slide. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. And it is only talking about the talk series, which I have already discussed. And so it's a global virtual platform that brings together the key stakeholders. So we have a new topic every time, and we already into 33rd session of this. So we have covered a lot in this, and the global audience, and which has run into 3,000 around now by now. So that's really a successful thing. You can see the data given here. Next slide, please. We have to talk about the Modern Energy Cooking Forum. Another platform by Max in India through Finovista is the Modern Energy Cooking Forum. Now we will have in the month of September 27, which uh, will be third of series in the forum, and be a very successful participant, and we all invite you for that, and because the registration are open for that, and all the stakeholders from the government and the private sector join it and share their thoughts here. So in New Delhi on 27th September. And I think that was the last slide, Satyam, about it.
So just one more.
Oh, one more. Okay. Okay. Oh, this is for information about our next talk session, which is scheduled to be held on August 22nd, this month only. And we will discuss about the role of DISCOM, that is the distribution power companies, which have a very important role in managing the load, managing the meters, and their financial viability in scaling up the electric cooking in India. So that would be a really very interesting. So for your information, please block your date. That's all I have to say about it. That's all from
Right.
as far as presentation is concerned. So now it is time to welcome again our expert guest, Dr. Veronica from Nigeria, the CEO of uh, what is it? Chief Executive Officer of Tovero Energy Limited, Nigeria. So the floor is yours, Dr. Veronica.
Thank you so much, Mr. Singh. And good
Thank you.
morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, depending on where you're joining from. I would sincerely apologize for joining late. I had network challenges. So this is why I joined in late. Am I being heard?
Yeah, very much.
Yes.
All right then, thank you. So I'm going to do a presentation on supply chain platforms for e-cooking solutions. We will talk about challenges and exploring solutions. Um, and then I would like to just talk briefly about the Nigerian cooking sector generally, popular e-cooking appliances. We will see this, and we will talk about, like I said, supply chain platforms. So just to give a background of the e-cooking sector in Nigeria, this is the current situation as at now. data has shown that only about 1% of the population in Nigeria uses electricity for cooking, and we have the rest. The bulk part of the population are still using firewood for cooking and charcoal. We have a few using kerosene and LPG, and we also have some others using improved biomass cook stoves, technologies, and fuels for cooking as well. Now, what this background shows to us is that on the flip side, um, we also have data to show that about 77,000 deaths is associated with cooking with dirty fuels and technologies in Nigeria. And while we know that cooking is an activity that is supposed to bring joy and happiness to households and families, but there are some households and families that cooking actually brings sadness because of the health effects that cooking with dirty fuels and dirty technologies present to the people, to mostly women and children who are the people on the front line of cooking in various homes and households like we know. So this slide is just showing us some popular e-cooking appliances that we know about. Some of us already own some in our households. Some of us may not have some at this time of the presentation, but we are hopeful that after this presentation, there will be a change of mind in the approach that people have towards cooking with electricity. So we have induction stove, we have air fryers, we have food processors, microwaves, toasters, electric pressure cookers. We also have electric kettles as well in the list. So now looking at the supply chain, because this topic is talking about supply chain platforms. Generally, I'm going to use the air fryer for the example that I want to talk about. Before we see the beautiful air fryer in the market, it has gone through a lot of processes. And just going back to the previous slide, one of the things that we can agree as a major component on all the devices that we have seen right here is the use of steel. So steel is a major raw material component for the production of electric cooking appliances. And if we want to look at the entire supply chain from the place of sourcing for the raw materials, where you have miners mining for tin, mining for aluminium and cobalt and other raw materials of that sort. So you have different mining groups, different miners, they get this raw material from the earth, and then it moves to the next, which is the supplier. This supplier here, his duty is to buy the raw materials from the different miners and fabricate them into components as required by the people working in the factory. In some instances, the factory owners can also be the people buying the raw materials from the miners, or it depends on what the particular factory owner is, the model the particular factory owner is using. So after the components have been fabricated, they are sent to the factory either for assembly or for actual production of the electric cooking appliances. Now, if your air fryers are ready and it goes to the warehouse. So we can see this truck in front of the warehouse ready to distribute the already produced air fryers to the retailers. So the truck has taken the air fryers to the retailers, and the retailers include big retail stores. In the US, you can talk of Walmart. In the UK, Tesco. In Nigeria, we will talk about ShopRite. We will talk of Ebano and very big retail shops where kitchen utensils are sold. In India, I want to believe that we have such big retail stores as well. So this is where you and I go and we purchase the air fryer, and you can see somebody walking out the door as the customer with his already purchased air fryer, and he's happy about it. But another part that I would like to talk about is the after-sales service. In the supply chain, you also have after-sales service, which includes things like warranties, repairs and maintenance, recycling of the product when they have reached their useful life. And you also talk about replacements for after sales service, because when the product is still under the warranty period and there is a major breakdown, then there has to be replacements on the part of either the retailer or it goes directly back to the factory. So this is the interaction that happens around the supply chain of years, or the goods have to get to the right people at the right place. And the second condition is that it has to get to the people at the right time. The third condition for a supply chain to be efficient is that the items in the supply chain that comes out of the supply chain process has to get to the right people at the lowest possible cost. So when these three conditions are met, the right place, the right time, the lowest possible cost, then you can say that that supply chain is efficient. As much as possible, what people, the players in the supply chain, what they strive to do is to reduce costs and reduce the time for distribution, and to make sure that when the time for distribution is reduced, that means the items also get to the people at the right place. So at the right place would be that it will be very when you enter a big store, for example, it will be quite strange for you to see an air fryer being sold in a clothing store, for example, because you would wonder what is the relationship. So items also needs to be the goods needs to be at the right place for the people to see these goods. Now, the role of supply chain platforms in e-cooking solutions is the first to improve the efficiency. So like I mentioned before, for a supply chain to be efficient, then there has to be low cost at the end of the entire process, and then the lead time for distribution and logistics has to be reduced as well. So supply chain platforms in e-cooking solution systems aim to improve the efficiency of the entire supply chain so that the goal or the three criteria that I've just mentioned will be met efficiently. The next role of supply chain platforms will be to streamline logistics and improve an inventory management. So just to quickly go back to the supply chain map that we had, from the point of the raw material to the point of retail, it involves a lot of logistics, right? So supply chain platforms will help to streamline the logistics. And one of the ways will be to infuse internet or IoT, and also infuse technology so that we can get the inventory, the right quantity of inventory. Because if you can imagine a situation where the warehouse is filled up and there is no information passed to the factory that the warehouse is full, either for them to reduce production or to pause production for a while because there is no more space in the warehouse, you would see that if the factory does not have this information, what happens is that there will be so much production of air fryers, but there will be no place to store them. There will be no more space in the warehouse to store them. So supply chain platforms would enable to streamline logistics and inventory management. The third aspect, the third role of supply chain platforms in e-cooking solutions would be to lower operational costs. And lowering operational cost is very, very key because every aspect of the supply chain has cost associated with it. The miners will sell the raw materials at a certain price. The supplier will buy the raw materials from the miners as they fabricate they will add some costs of fabrication to the raw materials. It goes to the factory. There will also be other overhead costs that will be added. By the time the retailer, which is you and I, go to the shop to buy the air fryer, we would see that the final price is on the high side. But if we have an efficient supply chain system, we will be able to lower the operational costs, and lowering the operational costs will go down to the final consumer, which is you and I, and the final landing or purchase price of the air fryer will be way reduced than what it would have been for an inefficient supply chain process. So the next one will be expanding access, enhancing access to make sure that there is reach to underserved areas. What I have observed most of the time is that e-cooking solutions are very prevalent in the urban areas, but the underserved areas, which are basically the rural areas, most times people don't get to see these e-cooking solutions. People don't get to even hear about them. And very well so, because there are lots of infrastructural issues. But if we have supply chain platforms such as digital marketplaces, where people in the rural areas can place orders for an air fryer, for example, without having to go to a big store to buy them, these air fryers can be sent to them in the rural areas where they reside. So supply chain platforms like digital marketplaces will help to make the supply chain more efficient. And then another advantage, another role that supply chain platforms provides for e-cooking solutions is to provide data. When somebody buys something from an online store, there are certain data that is collected. And then this data will help improve decision making to provide more insights to the manufacturers so that they know which particular aspects or which particular areas demand for more e-cooking solutions than the others. And having these open channels, which is leveraged on with technology, you can also take feedback from consumers that can help in the product design. So these are the roles that supply chain platforms can play in e-cooking solutions. Now, I will talk about also the challenges
Sorry to disturb you. Sorry to interrupt you. Can we have your representation in another 2-3 minutes? Can you finish it, or it will take more
Yes.
time? Okay, because we have experts lined up, so they are waiting there. So thank you so much, and sorry
Yes.
for interrupting you.
Okay, so we have some major challenges in the e-cooking sector, which I think is also the same for India as well. There are currently electrical issues, electricity issues. We have supply chain inefficiencies, and most of the time you can hear from the users that the clean cooking solutions are expensive. There is limited reach and limited adoption of clean cooking technologies in terms of market penetration. So the avenues that can be explored is to site factories close to sources of raw materials to reduce the logistics costs. We can also leverage on digital marketplaces so that you don't have to site warehouses in places where you will have limited demand. Then platforms should be tailored to local needs. We can also have increase in the government support. So basically, the recommendations that I'm providing are that there is need for education, creating of massive awareness about e-cooking solutions. We can leverage on technology to increase efficiency and the reach of the products to places like rural areas. In conclusion, to address supply chain challenges, so whenever we talk about e-cooking, we are talking of two variables, which is the cooking technology itself and electricity. So when we address supply chain challenges, it has to go side by side with addressing electricity issues to support the e-cooking by households and families who still use traditional cooking fuels. So this will be me rounding up the presentation, and I am reachable by email on info@toveroenergy.com. You can also go to our website, toveroenergy.com, to see the things that we do. We are available on social media platforms, X, LinkedIn, and Facebook. You can go and see the things that we do, because we also carry out some researches around e-cooking specifically for Nigeria. Thank you so much for having me on for today, and I apologize once again for joining late.
Not at all, Dr. Varnika. It was a pleasure listening to you, and very informative about the information which you gave about the Nigerian sector of the e-cooking. Not only that, your suggestions about improving the electrical availability as well as the supply chain. And I was really pleased to hear from you one particular thing. You spoke about the manufacturing right from the production of primary steel. And primary steel production is a highly carbon emission, you can say, activity. So you started from that. So that shows your concern for the carbon emission which is happening. And thank you very much. And we would request you to continue to be here, because there may be questions from the audience if you have time. Thank you so much. And now it is time to hand over to Dr. Nick Rousseau.
Thank you so much as well.
It is time to welcome Dr. Nick Rousseau. I can see him; he's there, and I mean, I would straight away like to go to him and request him to moderate the session and also give his views on the subject of supply chain platform. Over to you, Dr. Nick.
Thank you, Mr. Sina. Very pleased to moderate another fascinating topic on this talk series. I think what we've just heard from Dr. Veronica just highlights just how complex the world is that we're trying to build and to enable to happen. And I think many of you on the session today who are listening and speaking will have different perspectives on that. Maybe different experiences, maybe some of you are suppliers, some of you are hoping to be buyers even. And so I think what would be really helpful is if everyone can use the chat function on their screen to offer any comments, to introduce yourselves, to ask any questions that you've got, so that I can then build that into the discussion. What I'm going to do now is introduce our three panelists briefly. They're all very experienced operators of supply chain, mainly on the supply from the product supplier down to the actual end user, so that end of the supply chain rather than the manufacturing and the components and raw materials. And they all have different approaches to managing the different challenges that Dr. Veronica described, and are going to share their experiences and their observations, particularly in the Indian context. But in all the contexts that we're working, there are big challenges with geography, with distribution, and with the sort of last mile aspects of many communities that we work with. And it does, as again Dr. Veronica very correctly pointed out, it needs to be mindful of the need for the end user to be well served once they've got the product. They don't just get left with it, but they are helped to use it if there's any issues, if there's a repair that's needed, and even ultimately that when they finish with it, there can be a way in which it doesn't just end up in landfill or in a big mountain of e-waste. So thinking all these things through, I've got a few questions. So what is the role of a kind of supply chain platform in helping to achieve what we're all trying to do here in such a diverse country as India? Are there particular challenges in rural and urban areas? What is the best way in which you can operate a supply chain so that the end product is affordable for the user? Again, Dr. Veronica touched on this. There are different solutions to that. What's the role of technology in this? How can the technology support the distribution, the collection of data, but also the availability of information for end users about different products that might exist? And finally, what is your experience of building collaborations among stakeholders? Because again, there are many different pieces that need to be brought together to make a successful supply chain. One company can very rarely do everything. They'll need to work with partners at the local level, in the financial sector, on the supply side. I'm going to invite each speaker to speak for 5 to 7 minutes, just give some opening remarks, and then we'll move into a kind of Q&A session. We may run over slightly. If you can stay with us, that will be much appreciated. But there is a recording of this if you need to leave and come back later. Okay, so let's move straight on to the first panelist is Mr. Vimal Panjwani. He is a first-generation entrepreneur, a seasoned and passionate rural agri-sales professional, and he's the founder and CEO of AgriVJ. He has a diverse industry experience of more than 10 years after his BTEC in bioinformatics and his MBA in agribusiness management. And he's worked in senior management positions in many different companies, always kind of looking at that kind of rural agri social impact dimension to the work. And this has given him both a kind of exposure and a passion to working with farmers and rural populations in India, and a real desire to empower farmers with renewable energy and to help them to be more energy independent. He's also keen to help them to increase their own income and savings, and that will help them to be more financially independent, as well as contributing to climate change mitigation. So do we have Mr. Panjwani? Can you make yourself
Yes.
visible?
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Great,
Thank
thank you.
you,
Good
Mr. Smith.
to meet you again. Nice to hear from you.
Thank you. Good to connect. Yes.
I'll turn my camera off and over to you.
Yes. So I think the initiatives of e-cooking has always been at our main goal at AgriVijay. And we have been promoting not only biogas digesters, but also solar induction cooking and solar cookers as well. And we have been constantly working with the farmers and rural households and modifying these innovations with our partners on ground. And we have seen the challenges are majorly that for solar e-cooking, if you talk about, it is as good as the solar induction. If you talk about, it is as good as the flour mill which every farmer uses in India. And the wattages, if you talk about, whether you talk about the flour mill or the solar induction, it is equivalent. And hence, if even if we are able to make a home energy independent with a 3 kilowatt or a 4 kilowatt off grid solution, all these appliances can easily run, whether you talk about solar induction or a flour mill. So what we are trying to do is we are not only providing them individual solutions. So in case they do not have the budget of going completely off grid, they can actually take a part of the solution. So they can take a solar induction separately and then move on to other solutions or use more equipments using the same off grid which is installed for the solar induction. So I think these kind of changes are happening, but the adoption rate is obviously slow in India because the products are not available at the village level. And at AgriVijay, with our renewable energy store business model, we make the products available. We not only educate them but also make these products available at the village level, and also deliver and install these solutions, providing after sales service, long term warranty, which makes us our selling proposition very unique. Because in terms of supply chain distribution of these products, you will witness that the traditional model has only reached up to semi urban areas. So if you want to take the solutions to the village or to the remotest of area in India, I think these kind of models will evolve. Many companies have tried and tested but failed because even today, if a farmer has an issue in a biogas digester or a solar, there is no after sales service given by any company because he has to go to a dealer which is located at the semi urban areas. Hence his issue is not resolved, which propels him to again switch to firewood or LPG, which is the cause or the reason where solar or biogas has not risen in terms of the adoption in India. But I think companies like AgriVijay is trying to, mitigate or de-risk that thought process and changing into that the renewable and clean energy is the future, and more companies will come into as we grow. And once the after sales service affordability issue and long-term warranty in high quality is given to these farmers and rural households, I'm sure these technologies will not only penetrate but will become a wide used products on ground, especially in the rural India. And despite the government initiatives, we know that 60% households are still using firewood for cooking purposes. So I think it's a long way to go. We are confident enough with the support of government and stakeholders and institutions like MSES will be propelling the clean cooking, especially the e-cooking solutions across rural.
Thank you. Thank you for that optimistic message. I think it's great to hear from people who have real experience on the ground of delivering solutions to diverse communities and helping them to adopt those solutions. I think the point about training, about after sales, as I mentioned, is really central, because if you just there have been studies where people have been sold a device or indeed given a device, but they didn't use it. And so the actual impact on their lives, the impact on the environment, the impact in the way that we want is simply not coming through. So the after sales and that ongoing support is really important. And that's where a lot of the big challenges come, where companies develop and use a digital platform to make people aware of products, maybe even to sell products to people. But it's that kind of fulfillment aspect of how people then get to get the support they need to benefit from it. So thank you for all those comments. I'll move on now to Mr. Umpanyu Patil. Apologies if I'm not pronounced your name correctly. So he's a trained civil engineer with management background, and he's been working with Swayam Shikshan Prayog for over 30 years, where his leadership in program development has been pivotal in driving strategic initiatives that catalyze rural prosperity. Big focus on rural development. And his journey focuses on fostering sustainable community growth and empowering rural women. So I think that's really significant, and hopefully will be something that we'll hear about, because I think the role of rural women is central to this, and it's a great opportunity for many of them. His expertise lies in crafting corporate partnerships, orchestrating training programs, and spearheading new business ventures that resonate with the needs of rural communities. Now, I think specifically he's going to talk about Saki Unique Rural Enterprise, or SURE for short, which has witnessed the entrepreneurial spirit of women to deliver clean technology solutions, directly contributing to the well-being of over 1 million families. So a substantial experience there. And their work champions a collaborative approach, uniting stakeholders to build a resilient rural community. SURE is now serving over 1,200 village-level entrepreneurs and reaching to 200,000 families. So, Mr. Patil, very interested to hear your observations and experience of establishing a viable distribution and supply chain platform.
Yeah,
and again, just to remind
thanks, Nick. Yeah, this is Upamanyu Patil. So I represent, I'm a director programs in Swayam Shikshan Prayog, and also I heads the for-profit arm promoted by SSP named Saki Unique Rural Enterprise. Swayam Shikshan Prayog is an NGO which works on women empowerment. We are present in 5 states and 20 districts, reached out to 100,000, 1 million families. The for-profit arm, which is basically work for promoting clean energy products and services through rural women entrepreneurs. So it's started in 2004 with British Petroleum. We co-created a product called Urja Stove, which is a biomass stove, and followed with that we continued working. Currently operates in Maharashtra and Bihar, having 1,200 village level women entrepreneur, and promoting as biodigesters to solar products to even agri inputs and so on. So as any product need to reach to the rural places, as Vijay is mentioning about inability to reach last mile networks or villages, we actually try to reach through these women entrepreneurs. And we work directly with the manufacturers. So even for cooking, we are currently going to work with ESL, Energy Efficiency Service Limited organization. And it is the best way because these women are the primary stakeholder for cooking appliances, which we experienced in many ways. And if women goes house to house and promote the product by using the catalog or demo products, it reaches to them. And the second challenge, which again Vijay mentioned on the service sales after service, actually for a basic repairs, we trained our village level entrepreneurs or parallel team who take care of a minor repairs, and there is a direct replacement warranty in few cases. If there is a major repair happens, definitely the service engineer which are trained and they are located at the district level go and try to resolve that part. So we actually deliver the product to doorstep of the community. Going forward, I think, and which Agri is I think already doing, the creating an online platform, both offline and online delivery and logistic mechanism will help to reach out. Primarily, we need to educate the consumer because mostly this cooking is a behavioral change from chula to LPG to any other way of cooking. We need to be careful about that. And through women at the village level, creating a livelihood opportunity as well as delivering the product to the last mile with guarantee of the sales after service is enable adoption in a maximum way. I stop here. If there are any questions, we can take up further. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very impressed. Everyone has been commendably succinct and brief, so we're definitely going to get through this in time. Thank you again for those comments. I think, again, picking up on the points you're making about how we need to train the entrepreneurs, train those people who are in that position of directly talking to potential customers, potential users. So I'm pleased to say that we're working with the Skills Council for Green Jobs to develop a training package for those promoting electric cooking, and this should be available very soon. We're looking for partners for piloting it at the moment, and that then would deliver both the training and the skills, but also hopefully a certificate so that they have a bit of evidence of those skills that they've acquired. I think that adds value for the individual as well as for their impact. Okay, yeah, just to remind everyone to feel free to add your questions to the chat. I see there's one question already come in for Dr. Veronica, maybe specific to the Nigerian situation. But I think particularly if you have ideas or observations about the challenges facing supply chain platforms or supply chain businesses in India or indeed in any market, we could get some comments and reactions from the panelists because they've got many years of experience. Our final panelist is Mr. Gaurav Chakravarti, who is the Chief Growth and Marketing Officer at Micro Energy Credits. Be careful, MEC is not the same as MEX, but we have a very similar acronym. And he is an enterprising and dynamic leader with over 20 years of experience driving large engagements such as ICT for development, rural development, financial inclusion, and many others. At MEC, Gaurav focuses on growth strategies, channel development, and new energy-efficient technologies to accomplish livelihood enhancement and long-term sustainable impact. I should say that MEC is another company that offers a model of getting products out into rural communities. Their model is particularly focused on working with MFIs, financial partners at the local level. He comes with a rich experience in leadership roles at organizations such as Drishti, Terry, and Fino, and his last being the Chief Operating Officer at Grameen Foundation India. He's very experienced at looking at the multiple perspectives that need to be understood to make a strong supply chain, understanding the end user and their perspective and needs, understanding your financial partner and how they can engage and their motivation in the context of growing their own business, your supplier, and ultimately the investor that may well be backing what you're doing. So he can speak, I think, from those different perspectives. So, Mr. Chakravarti, over to you.
Thank you so much, Nick, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So, very interesting thoughts coming out, from the panels, and I am in agreement to most of it. For MEC, we have been working primarily with the MFI and social impact organizations, working very closely with the communities, underserved communities, and especially women in the households. And what over the last couple of years, I can say that clean energy, e-cooking has been one of the major products which has been driving much of the interactions at the rural level. Uh, Even right now, if I speak, our partners are on an annual basis uh, doing numbers of more than 100,000 annually. And through the years, of MEC operating through our partners across various energy efficient products, we have reached out to over 9 million households in terms of impact, as well as unlocking more than $440 million in terms of carbon finance. The larger part here is, this finance helps in several aspects for the manufacturers as well as the implementation partners. And this financing is used in the critical areas which we are observing in our discussion today. That is in training of the last mile team members who are then able to further handhold the end clients to adopt energy efficient solutions. We are looking at innovative financing models so that we are able to lower the cost of the devices, and again critically financing models such that this becomes a affordable utility at the households. And in our research, in our observations, what we are seeing is what this space would require is innovative product lines. We know that in the households may require more than one burner to use. Of course, electricity supply, we have spoken about it. But yes, innovative products. What we are looking at is innovative financial models so that things become much more affordable for for the end clients. What we are looking at is efficient supply systems, supply chains, which not only is for the last mile delivery, but also in terms of after sales services. And we need to look at local manufacturing to further reduce the cost. And I think one of the critical aspects which we need to look at is behavior change towards adoption. Uh, One of the critical aspects is, to overcome this transition or say fear of adopting e-cooking solutions. And secondly, it is also to generate the demand in terms of, what benefits can be achieved by adopting such transitions, which I think would further fuel in terms of innovations, not only in terms of manufacturing, but also in terms of driving overall efficiency in the supply chain. In India, we have very bright and upcoming platforms which are transformational in nature and which can really work towards this. I think ONDC platform by the government of India is one of the key proponents in this, and in the months and years to come, probably this may become the UPI as it has changed or transformed the financial digital finance in India. Similarly, ONDC has the potential to transform the last mile delivery or the supply chain inefficiencies in India. So I'll pause here, Nick. Back to you.
Thank you. Yeah, great to hear about your work, and I think it's fascinating the different models. And I think that my question, we're not getting a lot of questions about kind of supply chain issues, certainly in terms of the route through to the end user. But I was pleased to hear that Shaw is working with ESL. I know MEC has opened up conversations with ESL. Is there something that I see kind of complementarity between different supply chain models. And I'd love to, a market the size of India, see potentially more collaboration so that people can work with each other and bring each other's strengths to bear and support each other. So I would, maybe offline or online, I'd be interested in your comments on whether MECs rather, could help to facilitate the conversation, between different players, to help to enable you to think about whether there's a collaborative model that you could work with. But I think it is very encouraging to me that we've got in a country as complex as India, a range of companies that are very actively engaging with these supply chain challenges. And in a way, for us in the modern energy cooking world, that is invaluable. If we were trying to do what we're trying to do without drawing on your partners and your experience and reach, we would be in a much harder place. So I'm really pleased that we've kind of made contact with you, and I hope there'll be others. Again, sort of message to the audience, really. If there are others that have other supply chain platforms or other contributions they would like to make, or maybe digital models or financial models, do approach us or do put them in the chat, because I think we can all learn from each other. I think there's a great deal, and I'm pleased that we had Dr. Fronecker coming and talking about the situation in Nigeria, another huge country, another huge opportunity, but also a huge challenge for driving change there. Okay, I'm looking again to see there are some questions about the Nigerian situation. I don't know if Dr. Fronecker would like to respond to any of those about the challenges of the energy infrastructure, how that's going to affect the potential for growth. Some of our panelists did mention, obviously, that understanding the realities of electricity supply at the local level is going to be critical. Certainly one of the supply chain models that we've supported directly is working with IIT Mumbai and Jivika in Bihar, where they actually employ an engineer to go out to a home and double check the strength of the connection. Are there enough sockets in the home? And to provide that of last mile kind of electricity connection. And I think that could be really valuable component, because it just helps to address what may be a very real but very small in many respects issue for a household that wants to move to electric cooking. So that's the kind of example of the kind of learning that I think we can share between us. Other than that, we've got to the end of the hour, and everyone has spoken. Would any of the panelists or Dr. Fronecker like to make any final remarks? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nick, for the concluding remarks which you have already given. And I would just like to thank you for that. Of course, the supply chain platform issue is a very, very large issue, and 1 hour was a very short time for completing the discussion. It would continue, and we hope to have more session on this. And perhaps in our forthcoming Modern Energy Cooking Forum, which is scheduled on 27th September this year only in New Delhi, we can discuss further on this issue, because that's a very complex and large issue. So obviously we have got a views of several panelists here and also from Nigeria, and we hope to continue it. And thank you everybody, and welcome. I thank you for accepting our invitation to join the discussion, and we hope to see you again. Thank you.